So before I start, I'll give you a quick intro of what I'll run through, and here's some background video for you to look at. So you'd like to compile Audacity from source, and there's two reasons why. Either you'd like to upgrade to the latest version of 2.4.2, but when you install, the sudo apt repo gives you version 2.3.3, or the sudo apt repo install doesn't give you the advanced features like modules or modscript pipe. My reason for upgrading was to get hold of the modscript pipe, so I can do some automated scripting using Python. So I'll start by creating an Audacity tutorial series, and this will be my first one, showing you how to compile Audacity from source. And in my tutorials, I'll go step by step, as I appreciate that everyone starts off as a beginner, and your end goal might just want to get through the technical stuff, and you just want to use the software. So there'll be 4 stages within this video. Number 1, I'll download and install version 2.3.3, as I'm guessing you're already an Audacity user, and this is where you currently are. Number 2, I'll upgrade to version 2.4.2 by compiling by source, showing you step by step using the command line. 3, I'll get a Python connection to Audacity working. And then 4, what I'll do, I'll talk you through a script that I've written, and I'll upload to GitHub that you can do, that can do the install for you should you need to repeat the process over and over. So, this is what I usually do because I'm creating new machines, VM, and repeating stuff over and over. So it just makes it easier. I just want to go back to point 2 that I made. So you might be wondering why Linux users need to compile Audacity. And from what I've read and understand, Audacity has better support for Windows and Mac, since these OSs are easier for versioning. So there are too many Linux distributions to maintain for the Audacity developers, so this would involve too much testing. So it's easier to provide the source file that Linux users can download and compile on their own machines using the compiler meant for their OS and architecture. So for any of you tech folks, so any of you non-tech folks, this is the difference between software written in C++ and Java. C++, however, is a much superior language that is well suited for audio, video, and physics software. So let's begin. So the first thing we need to do, we need to update our repository, because what we need to do is download some dependent libraries to build Audacity. So let's do a quick update. And then also what I'm going to do before I actually start loading independent libraries, I'll also install version 2.3.3. So I'll just do that. So this is going to be the normal way in which you are familiar with to download, to install Audacity. Okay, so I'll do a sudo apt install Audacity. And I'll put the yes flag in there too. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I want to have the same setup that you are most likely to have, and then I also want to show you what the limitations are. Okay, so that's installed. So now I can just launch Audacity. And you can see that the version that's installed is 2.3.3. And the limitation with this particular version, if I go to Edit, Preferences, and then Modules, no modules were found. So this is you know, I was doing some reading on the documentation, and it said that you can do some Python scripting. So I thought, wow, that's something I would like to do, right? And so I went over to this menu, saw that no modules were found, and then I realized, okay, there's a lot of people having difficulty with understanding what they need to do to get that, and just generally people being able to compile Audacity. So, you know, I thought, okay, this will make a good series. So let's start. Let's close that. And now what I've done, I've got open my script, and what I'm going to do, I'm not going to talk through the script yet. I'll save that to the end, because I want to do everything on the command line and show you exactly what it is that I'm doing, what this script would do. And so the only thing that I'm going to use this script for is just really take this line, copy this line where I'm going to download and install the essential dependent libraries. So let's just copy this for a sec. I'm just going to go over to another tab, and I just need to copy that line. So I'm gonna put this script on GitHub, so you'll see this. So all it is that you do the usual sudo apt, and you can do it all in one line to install all of those dependent libraries. And then, you know, I'm just going to copy that instead of me sort of typing out each one. It's just quicker and easier for me just to do a copy and paste for the moment. So I'm just going to copy that, and then I'll just put the yes flag in there, and I've just got an error in here. So let's because what I did, I put everything on one line, and I just need to separate that one there. So, and now I can do it. And, you know, I'm guessing that you could probably use this for, you know, versions other than this method for versions other than 2.4.2. I think if you're on really old versions, old Debian or Ubuntu OSs, maybe it could be like an old way of doing it. So, but, you know, from around 20.04 is going to be this method, and I'm guessing that moving forward it would be the same as well. So this particular page is asking me to configure jack-d2. So jack-d2 is a library which is it's not really something that I've used, but I've read up a little bit about it because I came across having to use it at one point, and it's like a server. So it's like a virtual, I think it's like a virtual audio server where you're connecting into inputs, outputs, and stuff like that when using other sort of scripted software. So for the moment, I'm just going to press no on this option and let it continue. And Jack server is not really required, but it doesn't hurt to actually just, you know, install it. It really doesn't. It's something which Audacity looks for anyway, and I'll show you that a little bit later as we get to the build and running of Audacity. You'll see that it does look for Jack server, and if you've got it running and enabled and switched on, then it will connect to it. I'm going to try and I will include chapters so you can skip past stuff which you don't really need to sort of look at my screen if something's installing or building. But I try not to edit. I would like to keep stuff in so you can see exactly what it is that I'm doing. I don't want to skip any steps. Alright, so that's installed. Now the next thing that I'm going to do, I'm going to make a directory, and this directory is going to be where I install Audacity, the build for Audacity. So I'm going to install it in user local share Audacity. Okay. Okay, so that's where I'll install it. And so so the next thing I need to do, let's just get a browser open, and I need to download Audacity, and I've given all of the instructions in the step-by-step, sorry, in the script. So there's two places where, there's two websites where, well, there's actually 3 different places where you can download the source file. And, you know, the main place to get it from is going to be the FossHub website. So let's just copy that, open a browser, and there's 2 places. So let's just put this address in there for FossHub, and we'll put this one here. So one is Audacity old, and the other one is just Audacity. So Audacity gives you the latest version for every operating, well, not every, but you know, for the main operating systems, and it also gives you the manual as well. So this is version 2.4.2, and then if you need to get older versions of Audacity, then it has a list of those source files as well. So if you need to crawl back, downgrade for any reason, then you have the opportunity to do that as well. And then there's also another place, so let's just go down here, and I've created a function in here, but I'm not using this function in my code, but I've just included it in there if you need to use it. So there's a third place, and it's in GitHub, and GitHub gives you all the releases as well. And this is the GitHub repository is really for developers. So the Audacity developers tell you that if you are a general end user, then get it from FossHub. But if you're a person who is interested in developing, doing sort of like more advanced development stuff, then you'll get it from GitHub. And the sort of development I think they're talking about is if you want to get into the source code and probably change things for your own purposes. My more advanced purposes is just to use the Python API, the scripting API, to automate it. And so, you know, I don't really need to go to the GitHub version. I can go to the FossHub version. But from what I understand is that if you download from either GitHub or FossHub, it's going to be the same build process. So you've got the option to do either of those. But what I've done, I'm just going to download it from FossHub. So let's download it. I'm going to download the Linux source. And I think that should have downloaded. Yeah, that's downloaded. So that is in, let's just show you. All right, so there it is there, Audacity. And all right, so the next thing that I need to do, now that I've downloaded it, I need to uncompress it, because the file that's been downloaded is a tar.exe file. So I've already created my folder where I'm going to uncompress it to. So all I need to do now is just do a line of code which uncompresses it and uncompresses it into the destination folder which I would like it to go to. Right, so let's just get the I got a when I tried to go into that, why did I get, oh okay, yeah, so I've got the silly me, I've got the tilde character on the end, that's why. Alright, so let's just copy that, I don't need to type that all out, and then I'll just put it on the end of that, and my destination is going to be this folder that I created. Okay, so just double check that and we're good, and we can uncompress it. Okay, so that's now uncompressed. So let's just change directories. And you can see it here. So this is the uncompressed file. And let's just take a look at the contents. So let's go into this folder. Okay, so that's where we are. So the next thing that I need to do, I need to create a build folder. So I'm just going to do a sudo, and you have to do this inside of the directory Audacity. Yeah, so the one that you've uncompressed. So you go into that folder, into that into the root directory of that folder, and then you create another folder, and you're going to call that build. So this is where you're going to do your build, where you do the compilation. All right, so I've now got that folder. So this is a new folder that I've created, which is that one. And then the next thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to go into that folder. So I'm now inside that folder. And then I'm going to add a line, which is, I'm going to create a cmake file. So this is like instructions for the build. And this is what I need to, what settings I need to provide. So call that release, and then we have a flag here for wxWidgets, and I'll just quickly type that out, and I'll explain what it is, why you need it. And this particular one, ffmpeg, I'll explain that as well. Alright, so let me just double check that. So we've got sudo make hyphen dc-make build type equals release, and we've got a space there which I need to remove. Audacity use wxWidget equals local, and then another flag Audacity use ffmpeg equals loaded. Alright, so this line, this bit here, this flag here, use Audacity widgets. So what Audacity have done, they've made it easier, because to do the build you have to use wxWidget, which is a library, and then typically, you know, you might already have wxWidgets on your machine, and that would be located under user local included, user included, and so that's not going to be the right version of wxWidgets to compile Audacity. So Audacity have created their own version, which is 3.1.1, and so they install it in a particular location, and then they reference to that, and then that way they're able to build with no issues, right? So there's no incompatibility issues. So let me just go back to my script, my dependent libraries. So in my scripts, I've created an array of the libraries that are required, and I've given some sort of explanation as to some of them. And so typically on your machine, you might have this version of wxWidget. And so I've just mentioned it, I've grayed it out. I don't need to include that in there, but I've grayed it out, and I've just said this will install wxWidgets in user include wx 3.0. And I've said that, but this is not the version that you need. What you need to have the library git, and I think for the GitHub versions, more advanced versions, you need git-gui, git-tk, right? But for this one, you need git. And with git, what will happen when you're doing the build, at the same time, it will install wxWidgets in the particular library, in a particular location of the source folder which you've downloaded. So that helps a lot. So it gives you the correct version, and it does it all for you. So and then the other bit, which is here, so Audacity use ffmpeg equals loaded. So that bit there, if you are a person who uses ffmpeg, and I've included ffmpeg, and ffmpeg is a really good library, very powerful library, which does stuff with video and audio. And if you've got it, then there's also support for ffmpeg in Audacity, and you'll usually find that a lot of video and audio software rely on ffmpeg, on the ffmpeg library. A lot of video editing software relies on it. So once you install it, install someone else's software in the background, it's also installed. Sorry, I can't speak. It's also installing ffmpeg in the background for you. All right, so let's do that. And let's just when that stops, I'm just going to get rid of the browser in the background. Okay, let's close that. Okay, there is some errors here, so let's have a look at this. So it's saying found version 3.7, found components interpreter, cmake error. Alright, let's just double check. Okay, I think I know what I've done, and wxWidget is lowercase rather than uppercase. It's all lowercase. So now let's give that a try. Okay, so yeah, that was the issue just then. So now what it's doing, it's cloning wxWidget to this particular directory. So that way you don't actually have to do that. You don't have to build Audacity. Sorry, you don't have to build wxWidgets yourself. While it's doing the build, it will do that for you. Okay, so that's done. Now, what I can do, I can actually do the build. So the next thing I need to do, I need to just check how many cores my PC has. I know, because I'm using VM, I know that I've only got one core, right? But if you've got multiple cores, then it'll be good if you specify it, because what it would do, it will make it would just make it build a lot faster. So the way in which you do that, you do a proc cat proc CPU info, and you're going to do a pipe grep processor, another pipe, and it's going to be a word count. Okay, and then that gives me a return of 1. So I know that you probably won't be using VM. You're probably using your actual machine, and you probably have like 4 cores, 8, 16. If you're on something really powerful, you're going to have a lot more, and it'll just make the build a lot more faster. So when you do the build, you're going to do a sudo make j, and let's say, for example, if it were 4 cores, you put 4. If 8 cores, you put 8, whatever, right? Because I've only got 1, then I don't really need to do that. I can just say sudo make, and then it will start to build. So this will take a while, and what I might do, I might just forward this video. I could let it run, or I could forward it. So I'll see. I'll decide later what I'll do, whether I'll edit this bit. But I'll definitely give you a link to, I'll say, okay, you can just go right past the build bit. What you're going to see in the build, you're going to see what might look like errors, but they're not errors, they're just warnings and notes, and it's just saying this has been deprecated, you know, it's going to be phased out at some point, this particular function or, you know, code or whatever within the C++ code, and but it doesn't affect the build. The build just continues, so everything is okay. If you got anything in red, then it would be an error, and it would just stop the build, and then it would just be an error that just stops everything. So that doesn't happen, so you're all good. So I'll just go quiet for the moment while that happens, and like I said, I might just edit past all of this. I'll wait until you see a notification or warning, so that way once you see it, you know you've seen it also on my machine. So here we go. This is what I was looking for. So this looks like an error, but it is a warning. And here's another one. So that's a note. So it's just saying gtime val deprecated, and another one here, warning gdatetime. So it's just saying that I guess that's no longer going to be in use at some point, but it's giving you a pass for the moment. So yeah, at this point I'll probably edit the video, and because I don't really need to do the whole compilation, compilation, and so I'll make that decision after I finish the video, what I'll do. I'll just go away and get myself a drink and come back. Okay, so this is now complete. Build is now complete, and successfully, this is the one that I was looking for the advanced features, which is the mod script pipe. So everything is successful. So the next thing we need to do, we need to do the install. But before I do that, I'm just going to go into this directory. And you can see the directory that I created, which is build, everything has now been built into that directory. So now I'll also go into the bin folder. And the folder we're looking for is called release, and inside that folder we now have Audacity. So the next thing that we do, and sorry, Audacity is the actual build application, so that's where it resides. So the next thing that we need to do to get it to work, we need to create a folder called portable settings, and in the documentation it kind of says to do a test launch of Audacity, you would build this folder, but actually this folder is a requirement. Without it, then it's not going to work. Also, when we create this folder, we need to create the correct permissions for Audacity to access it. Without those permissions, then it's not going to work. Because we're in this folder, user local share, anything that we create in there has to be done with sudo. And if you create anything with sudo, then the owner is going to be root. So once you create that folder, then we have to change the permissions. So if I do a sudo make directory, and the name of it will be portable settings, and I'll just create that. Okay, so the next thing I need to do is change mod, which is change the permissions, and I'm just going to make it open for everything and everyone. And I'll go back and I'll tighten that up, but this will get it working. All right. So what I can do, I can launch Audacity whilst I'm in the folder, and you'll see that it will work. And all of this output to the terminal, that occurs. Okay, so here you can see it's launched Audacity 2.4.2, and I'll just close that. So when you launch from the terminal, it's going to do a load of output in the terminal, and there's going to be a lot of stuff in there that looks like errors, but none of that causes any issues. And if you do that, if you launch it, if you went into the folder where version 2.3.3 resides in, you're going to see the same type of output. And where I mentioned earlier about Jack server, so let's just go up here a bit. So I just want to show you Jack server. And here it is here. So Jack server is not running and cannot be started. So we downloaded that library, but what we hadn't done is we hadn't configured it to make the server run. So, but that's okay, because we're not really using it. And if you did need to use it, you've got it installed, and you can, it's a bit more of a bigger thing to get that started. I'll probably do another tutorial on using Jack server, but in the background Audacity actually looks for it and tries to connect to it. All right, so now if I go to my icon and click on it, then let's see what version comes up. So it's still 2.3.3. So the next step that we need to do to enable it to launch the correct version, we have to create an install. So what we're going to do, we're just going to go back to the build folder. and we're going to type sudo make install. Okay, all right, so now when I click on the icon, it should load the correct version. So it's Audacity 2.4.2. And now if I go to Edit, Preferences, Modules, I see that I now have mod script pipe, and I can enable that. Okay, so that's now enabled. So finally, now that we have the correct version, I've got the modules enabled, I can now start doing some advanced stuff. So the next thing that I would like to do is just validate to make sure that I can make a connection using Python. So let's close Audacity for a sec. And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to go to a new tab here, just clear that. So we'll make a directory, and I'll do that inside of my tutorial directory, which I've got. So that's in desktop tutorial. So I'll create a directory, and I'm going to create that directory inside of a tutorial directory that I have. So that's on my desktop. It's called tutorial, and I'll create a folder called Audacity. And then inside of that directory, I'm going to create a script. So this is a script that I'm going to use to test my connection. So I'll do a touch. Okay, didn't mean to do. So I'll create a new directory, and in that directory I'll create a folder called Audacity, which I'll use to hold my scripts, Python scripts, and the first script I'll create is one to test the connection, the API connection to use Audacity. So that's going to be inside of my folder called tutorial, which is on my desktop. And then inside of that folder, I want to create the script, and I'll call that pipe test.py. And then I just need to open up a browser. But before I do that, I just need to copy, and I'll provide this link for you. So this is a link which provides a test connection script. So I'll just open a browser, and I'll go to that link. But before I do, I'm just going to go into this test script using Vim. And then I'll copy the contents of that test script, which is on GitHub. And I'll paste it into my script. And in order to run the script, you need to have Audacity running, or get a connection. You need to have Audacity running. So I'll just fire that up. I'll close this browser, and then I can do a Python 3, and then I get back a return of a successful connection. So so the output is JSON. The return is JSON output from that script, and it's just saying to me everything is okay. So finished okay. It's saying that it's written, both pipes exist, it's good, file to write has been opened, etc, etc. I'm running it on Linux or a Mac. So yeah, so everything is cool, and that's where you need to be. So just to round off, I will talk you through the script, which I'll upload and provide a link to on GitHub. So the first variable, we've got three variables here. We've got directory, version, and DL directory. So directory is going to be where you install Audacity, and version is going to be the file that you download, the source file that you download. It's just really the download, which is uncompressed, and it doesn't have the file extension on the end of it. And then you've got DL directory, which is the download directory where you download your source file to. So if you make changes on any of those variables, then the script will completely work for you. So the first bit, the first array, you've got package list. So these are all of the dependencies which will be downloaded for you, downloaded and installed for you. Now I've got some explanation against some of those, and this is the function which is pk install, which does that for you. And all it really does is it just verifies the package if it's installed. If it's not, then it will install it using sudo apt. And then, as mentioned, you can ignore this function, which is Audacity releases, and so that just gives you the alternative to download directly from GitHub. So where we're downloading is going to be from this particular place as shown, which is FossHub. And all it really does, it creates the directory where you will install Audacity. It will then unzip the file, and then it will also move it from the download folder over to the location destination directory, and then it will create the build directory. It will then change into it. It will then create the cmake file. It will then look for the number of cores which you have, which is this bit here, and if it's more than one core, then it will do the sudo make j the core number. And then you've got this final function, which is what it does, it goes into the build bin release directory. It then creates the directory called portable settings. It then changes the permissions, so you can tweak that if you need to set permissions which you prefer. And then it will create the install, and that's pretty much it. So this loop over here, what it does, it loops through the array of library dependencies and installs them one by one. And if it has been installed, then it will ignore it, won't install it. And then here you've got the two functions where they're called Audacity build and Audacity install. And if you're interested in making the Python connection, this is the URL where you can copy the code as you saw me do and put it in your test script. And that's it. Cheers.